I think Kansas City is one of the most overrated teams in the NFL. They should be a lot better than what they really are. But I just 0-4. I think Sean Payton will somehow be able to pull that out. Eventually, when quarterbacks get old, history shows they decline. Drew Brees is 37. He's been carrying this team for centuries. Eventually, a collapse is going to happen. And I don't know if it's going to be this season, but it's a strong possibility. The Seattle Seahawks, no way in hell they winning that game. That's a loss. San Francisco, I think they beat them. It's going to be a heck of a game. Denver, I do think Denver takes a step back this season, even with a stout defense. Carolina, again, that is a loss. They'll beat the Rams, beat Detroit. I think they lose to Tampa on the road, lose to Arizona, come back and beat Tampa, and beat Atlanta. I think that will be a tie. I could come back to that, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 79. 79 for the New Orleans Saints. It's not that bad. I just don't think they're that great, to be completely honest. That defense, man, guys, I don't know if you watched New Orleans last year. I watched them. They were hard to watch defensively. We'll just leave it at that. So, we're done with the New Orleans Saints. I have them at 7-9. You guys disagree with the picks? Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. That's Butler-Smith Pod. You can hit me up on Twitter. That's BS Podcast 864. Or you can email me at podcastingbs@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about my picks. Let me know if you think something different. Let's go ahead and discuss them. So off to the next team, we're going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Just as we did with New Orleans, let's go ahead and get NFL Network point of view on the team, and then I'll give you my 2 cents. So let's go ahead and get into it.
I think we got to focus on year number 2 for Jameis Winston. In my mind, remember Vince Lombardi said that 90% of the game is played from the neck up. This is a quarterback that has more than just a tremendously high football IQ. I think he's got football wisdom. As a rookie playing last year, he displayed the ability to read defenses, to get the ball out of his hand. Didn't take a lot of sacks, even though playing behind a porous offensive line. He continued to battle. He showed toughness. Started all 16 games during a rookie campaign. That's not easy. He's got football wisdom. It's kind of what I would call it. So we always say that many are called, few are chosen. This guy was chosen to play this position, and I think he goes to a whole nother level in year number 2.
That was pretty profound.
So that's all I'm saying.
I like that.
It was beautiful.
What are you keeping an eye on for Bucks camp?
I'm keeping an eye on the guys that are keeping an eye on Jameis.
That's
the offensive line. And the growth and development. Because remember, they're all sewn at the hip. They draft Jameis number 1, but then they come back and grab Marpet. They come back and grab also Smith, the tackle. Yep. And so now you've got these young men that are growing together. Logan Mankin gone now. So who's going to step in and be the leader there? Who emerges as that guy? So I'm watching the young offensive linemen and their second-year growth. Because we were talking about it. Smith early on struggled, to learn the NFL game. But later on in the season, started to settle in and play better. Yeah. And so if he can continue to build on, because now once you know the league and you start knowing what guys' moves are, they don't change their moves. Now you got to grow. And so that's the thing I'm paying attention to is what these younger guys doing on up front to grow and improve.
But that first year with Jameis, that team, their offense was ranked 5th overall. Not too bad for Jameis Winston as a rookie. Where would you say they need to improve on the most on that side of the ball, Jamie?
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, I think they've got to stop dropping balls. And we were talking about this kind of in the – I mean, Mike Evans, I think, is a special talent. Big size, love the size of that guy. Austin Sefarius-Jenkins, I mean, here, he's the biggest tight end in the league with probably the smallest throwing radius, which, they've got to expand. So I think they've got to stop those things in the passing game if they're going to continue to grow and go to that next level.
Defense was ranked 10th overall last season. Where do they need to improve on that side of the ball?
They got to get better in terms of the cornerback position. I believe they did. They went out in free agency, and they signed Brent Grimes. Everybody knows that he's a grimy type player. He will mix it up. He'll get physical. He's going to make it tough on the opponent's wide receiver. And then they use their first-round pick on Vernon Hargreaves. He's the son of a coach. He does have a high football IQ, great pattern reader in terms of their zone matchup schemes. So I think they've gotten better on the perimeter in their secondary, and they can rush the quarterback. I think they'll get better at it simply because they're better in pass coverage at the corner position.
Overall, you think?
I do believe the arrow is pointing upward.
Well, you heard it there. The arrow is pointing up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know how far up. I would say just a smidget. They had a pretty good head coach last year in Lovie Smith. They didn't think it was good enough. He got canned, replaced by Dirk Corder, which was the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from last year. And, of course, with Lovie stepping down, that means no defensive coordinator, no more Tampa 2. In comes the secondary coach, which was Mike Smith. If you guys are not familiar with Mike Smith, he was also the one-time defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons and Jacksonville Jaguars. Both teams had pretty stout defenses, so I do see this Tampa defense improving. Now, how are they going to improve? Well, let's take a look at the training camp focus. The secondary. To me, Tampa Bay, with what they did in the offseason, has the potential of having one of the best tandems of cornerbacks in the NFL. They drafted Vernon Hargreaves, the excellent defensive back out of the University of Florida. Dude is amazing, very aggressive, very smart, son of a coach. But the guy, to me, was the best corner in football last year. Only problem is he's extremely small. So he's going to be playing nickel probably 100% of the time. I know they're going to throw him outside, but to me, if you throw somebody of Hargrave's stature to the outside, that's going to be a horrible mismatch because he is petite. But the guy can compete. I will give him that. They also signed free agent Britt Grains, who some say may be one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. Very solid, very, very aggressive, loves to get grimy, as Jamie Duke said from NFL Network. Only thing you got to do with him is watch out for his wife. Last team he was on, his wife was causing all kind of issues on Twitter, all kind of issues in the locker room. I ain't saying keep your woman in check. I ain't that type of guy. But sometimes you gotta let her know when to shut the hell up. Period. I mean, hey, take it how it is. You ain't gotta Ike Turner her, but at times you're gonna have to, shut up, just like the music. Anyways, back to it. So you have those two to add along with Altarian Werner and also Jonathan Banks. That could be, as I mentioned before, one of the best cornerback tandems in the league. Number two, of course, you need to focus on who I call Mr. Krabs, a.k.a. Famous Jameis. My music stopped. Oh, there we go. All right, back to it. Mr. Krabs, what is he going to do year two? Coming off a Pro Bowl season. Now, he wasn't, first selection for a Pro Bowl, but nevertheless, he made the Pro Bowl. He threw for 4,000 yards, also 22 touchdowns, 15 picks. That's not that great, but hey, it's Pro Bowl season. He instantly became the starter and the leader of that team, and he's going to be heavily relied on, especially from the head coach, being his old offensive coordinator. So he's pretty much getting the keys to the team. Can he improve from the previous year? I think he can. The guy's very smart. He had his issues at Florida State with the sexual assault case and the crab leg incident, and also, the vulgar language in the lunchroom. But that was yesterday. Today is a brand new day. Hopefully he's grown up a little bit more. I did read that he has slimmed down, so he's taking his conditioning a little bit more serious. And the supporting cast of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doug Martin rushed for over 1,400 yards. Mike Evans is a very, very solid receiver, but he was top 5 in drop passes in the NFL. And also they drafted Noah Spence, the defensive end out of Eastern Kentucky, came from Alabama, very, very solid. And I'm curious, very curious, to see what the hell this kicker is going to do. Roberto, I don't even know his last name, but I know they spent a second-round pick on this guy, so he better be freaking Adam Vinatieri. He better have a golden freaking foot. If he was the second round pick for your team to spend on a kicker, he better kick 85-yard field goals for a second round pick. I'm going to keep a very close eye on this dude. He better make the Pro Bowl this year. No ifs and buts about it. Because if he don't, and if he does not kick at least 90%, Tampa Bay, you are one of the dumbest organizations in the universe. Anyways, back to it. Let's go ahead and get to the picks. So, week 1, we have ATL, shouted. That's a loss. I think Atlanta will be very improved. Arizona, week 2, loss. The Rams, week 3, at home. I feel like they would pick that victory up. Denver at home. That's tough. I think they upset. I really think Denver is about to take a step back this season with Sanchez. Listen to what I just said. Mark Sanchez is their starting quarterback. Jordan, I don't know if you're listening. I know that's your team, but it's Mark Sanchez. It's just starting quarterback. You go from Peyton Manning to Mark Sanchez. Tell you what, Tim Tebow is still available. I know he thinks he's a baseball player now, but he cannot be any worse than Mark Sanchez. Anyways, back to it. Carolina, that is a loss. Chalk it up. 49ers, they'll beat San Francisco. Oakland at home, that would be a good game. I do think Oakland is going to be improved, so I feel like they lose to Oakland. Atlanta, I don't see Tampa beating Atlanta this year, so that's 2 losses. Chicago, they'll beat Chicago. Kansas City, not good enough to beat Kansas City. They will lose also to Seattle. I do think they will beat San Diego. I think San Diego is on their last leg. They're close to being completely out of here. New Orleans, did I have them beating Tampa? Nope, I had them losing. So they will beat New Orleans. They will lose to Dallas. I said it, Cowboy haters. They will lose to Dallas. New Orleans again. Did I have them beating New Orleans at any time? Okay, they will lose that second game. And at Carolina, man, they were so close to beating Carolina last year, but don't see it happening this year either. So that's a loss. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 wins. I think they're better than a 6-win team. I really do, but this schedule is brutal. With all these losses, I don't see me changing my mind on anything. Dallas depends on the health. If Romo is healthy, that's a guaranteed victory for Tampa Bay. If Romo is injured, I know you Cowboys haters, y'all love that line. If Romo is healthy, nowhere in hell Tampa's beating Dallas. But if he is not, which is always a strong possibility because he's hurt every year, Tampa could pull out that victory. They could beat New Orleans twice, very well. But I made the picks. I'm going to keep it. That's a 6-10 season for Tampa. I don't know what I had them on the last podcast. I don't really care because that podcast is a thing of the past, just like last season. So, that's pretty much it for Tampa. Who we got next? Let's go To the ATL, Nick.